Paul, thank you for that. With me here in the Canberra studio for a discussion on this first full day of campaigning is the Finance Minister and the Coalition campaign spokesman, Matthias Cormann. Minister, thanks very much for your time. What do you make of the polls? It just shows things are really close, doesn't it, at the start of this campaign? You're ahead in the Ipsos Fairfax poll, behind in the News poll.
It is a close election. What it means is that every vote matters, and what it means is that every single voter across Australia will have to very carefully assess whether they support our plan for jobs and growth, our plan to secure our successful economic transition from resource investment-driven growth to broader drivers of growth in a diversified economy, or whether they want to put that at risk by choosing Labor, which has no plan for the economy, just a plan for higher taxes, which would hurt jobs and growth.
The satisfaction with the budget's at 39% according to the Fairfax poll. Not a majority satisfied. Does that worry you?
Well, this is our budget is our plan, our national economic plan for jobs and growth. It's our plan to boost innovation in science and support startup businesses. It is our plan. It includes our defence industry plan to support local high-end manufacturing. It, of course, is underpinned by our export trade deals, which help our businesses be more successful in overseas markets. It includes our efforts to provide tax cuts and incentives to small business and hard-working Australians, all designed to make our tax system more growth-friendly.
But does this number reflect that it's not a handout budget, not a traditional election year budget?
Well, you're right. It's not a handout budget. It is a national economic plan, and between now and 2 July, we will be advocating for that plan, and we will be explaining why this is the plan Australia needs to secure our economic transition at a time when we continue to face global economic headwinds, when we continue to live in an uncertain global economic environment.
There's some encouraging number in the News poll, 41%. That's a decent number, suggesting they're prepared to see a reduction in taxpayer entitlements. That's more than I think many would have expected for that particular question.
Well, look, we are focused on our plan for jobs and growth. We are focused on putting our budget on a sustainable foundation for the future, controlling expenditure, cracking down on tax avoidance, and also better targeting the tax concessions available. And we are obviously working to convince a majority of Australians in a majority of seats by 2 July that our plan is the plan for Australia.
And you know that Labor, they're going to be targeting fairness right throughout this campaign. We saw that yesterday with Mr Shorten saying that he wants to protect Australia's focus on a fair go. Have you done enough in this budget to inoculate the government from those attacks?
Well, Labor is again making spending promises with money they haven't got, which means higher taxes, which will hurt jobs and growth. Now, we don't believe it's fair to raise expectations which cannot be met. We don't believe it's fair to live at the expense of our children and grandchildren, and we don't believe it's fair to push up taxes higher and to hurt jobs and growth, and as such hurt the jobs prospects of families across Australia.
Are you encouraged by the fact that Mr Turnbull still has the clear lead as preferred Prime Minister, even though his approval rating has taken a hit over the last few months? He's still clearly the preferred Prime Minister, according to that comparison in both opinion polls.
Malcolm Turnbull is the leader of our team. He's leading the charge in putting together and in selling our national economic plan for jobs and growth. And obviously, on 2 July, people will have a choice between Malcolm Turnbull, who has put together a national economic plan for jobs and growth, and Bill Shorten, who just wants to push up taxes and will hurt jobs and growth the same way as Labor has done in the past.
Is the challenge in any election campaign, obviously there's a national message and then you've got specific messages to electorates and regions. The challenge is that the economy isn't even across the board. For example, in regional Queensland, they've been hurting, job losses around various towns. So you've got to tailor your message of optimism that the Prime Minister talks about to areas where, well, they don't have much cause to be optimistic right now.
Well, you're quite right. Some parts of Australia are feeling the effects of the transition in the economy more heavily and more acutely than others. I mean, parts of Queensland, parts of Western Australia in particular, they are on the front line of that economy in transition. But for them, it is even more important that we keep implementing our national economic plan for jobs and growth. For them, it's even more important that we implement our plan to make our business tax system more competitive internationally, to attract more investment, employment, so we can create more jobs, so that we can permanently add more than 1% to the size of our economy, so that we can keep lifting over time real wages and living standards. People in the more affected areas of Australia, more so than anybody else, need us to be successful in implementing our plan for jobs and growth.
And you, obviously, Queensland's the battleground and one of the very important battleground states. It does have a tendency to swing in a big way when it does swing. Is that a concern for the coalition heading into this campaign? Because the first stop for Malcolm Turnbull, straight to Brisbane.
Well, we want to win a majority support in a majority of seats right around Australia, from Queensland to Western Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, the Northern Territory and the ACT. We want to win over as many Australians as possible to support our plan for jobs and growth, so that Australia can secure our successful transition in the economy.
Finally, George Wright, the ALP director, has agreed to a debate, a People's Forum in regional Queensland this Thursday with Sky News. And would you encourage Tony Nutt and the campaign to put Mr Turnbull up there as well? Because obviously that is an area that you need to do some convincing, as you've made the point before.
As the Prime Minister said, there will be a number of debates during this campaign, and I will leave it to the Liberal Party to organise the logistics in relation to that with Sky and others.
All right, Matthias Cormann, campaign spokesman, Finance Minister, will talk to you again shortly, no doubt.
Always good to talk to you.